My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my ranking of Black Mirror Season 6, and this video will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But this is the worst season so far. Only 2 episodes are good, and they're not as good as they should be. And also, it didn't really feel like Black Mirror this season because I feel like Black Mirror is about how technology brings out the worst in humanity. And Demon 79 has nothing to do with technology. Maisie Day and Locke Henry, I also feel stray away from the premise of the show. But anyways, let's get into my ranking from worst to best. And the worst episode was a very easy pick. And it's Demon 79. The one positive I'll give this episode is I liked the song that played at the end. But other than that, it's a very empty drag of an episode. It is very long and there's no justification for that length. And it just has nothing insightful to say about humanity. It could have explored this character who fantasized about hurting those who annoy her in her life and how she gets an opportunity to act on those fantasies, but it doesn't feel the way she thought it would. And if this episode leaned into that, I feel like it could have been very strong. But then they go in a strictly political direction and it doesn't work in any way, shape, or form. And I found the demon character to be unbearable. I found him to be very annoying. He kind of reminded me of Drop Dead Fred a bit. And yeah, for an episode of this length to bore me and annoy me this much, it's easily my least favorite. The second worst episode of season 6 is Maisie Day. And I do like what it's trying to say about paparazzi culture and just people's obsession with celebrities and how that can really affect them. I also appreciate the crazy twist at the end of this episode. But the two just don't come together at all, and it just feels very uneven, very inconsistent. And now when I look back, I'm like, well, what was the point of that? What's it trying to say? It's just very messy. I appreciate the attempts, but it was a failure. The third worst episode is, and I feel like it's a hot take, but it's Joanne is awful. And it surprises me that this is the episode that everybody is talking about the most. And I do love some of the ideas it's going for. There was a moment where she's like, I didn't agree to this. And this other lady's like, yeah, you did when you agreed to the terms and conditions. And it makes you think about what you agree to on a daily basis. There's also something here about how AI can really get out of control. But I just feel like it's wasted potential. For the plot to be this person is watching this show about her life on Netflix. I feel like you could have done something really great here. Well, she's watching past events and how it's changing small details and making her come across as the worst person, even though her perception of everything is different. And it could have been really smart and insightful, but instead it just goes in this weird direction where her phone is listening to her 24/7 and it's creating the visuals through AI. And it was just too over the top and it was just too much for me. It didn't feel grounded and I just thought it was a very uninteresting direction. And the fact she didn't just throw out her phone or anything, is just baffling, and it doesn't help that the ending twist to this episode is abysmal and makes it even worse. The main saving grace is Myha'la because he's always a delightful presence. Now, the top 2 episodes, the ones I liked, are neck and neck. I go back and forth quite a few times, and I'm still not 100% sure which one I'm going to say next, but I think I'm going to say the second best episode of Season 6 is Loch Henry. I thought Samuel Blanken and Myha'la gave really great performances. I liked some of the whole aspects going on with this episode. And as predictable as it is, I still found the ending had weight behind it. I thought it was very powerful for the last few minutes, and the exploration of how true crime documentaries and how they can affect those directly involved, I thought was really insightful and really well done. So it's got a great story, it's got some great thematic depths. I do wish some moments like the girlfriend dying had a bit more weight to it. I do wish the middle section was a bit more engaging, but I still thought this was a strong episode. But my favorite episode is Beyond the Sea. Josh Hamilton really gives a great performance here, but Aaron Paul is the standout. He plays 2 different versions of himself, and you can always tell which version is which. He brings these characters to life in a pitch-perfect manner. And I loved this story about these 2 astronauts in space who rely on each other to keep this shuttle going, and how they control these avatars down on Earth to still have a normal life. And when one of them gets his body destroyed and he loses his family and he just turns suicidal, the other one decides to help him out, and it has dire consequences for him. And I think it's a great exploration of just allowing empathy to take over and to no longer make logical decisions because you feel bad for someone. I think it explores codependency really well. I think it explores grief in a very powerful way. And I was just engaged with this story from start to finish. I thought the ending was really effective. Now, everything I just said is true. I loved so much of this episode, but I do think it's too long. I don't think it needed to be 80 minutes. It could have been tightened up to an hour. And also, there's one element of the story that doesn't quite work. Well, they make it feel like Aaron Paul is very possessive of his wife and how he's a bad husband, he's a bad father. And that angle just felt so unneeded to me that it kind of took me out of it for a little bit. I still love everything else, but that bit right there, I'm like, why? Just why? But anyways, it's still a very good episode and the best of Season 6. But what's your ranking? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.